Yes, sir, we are live now.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Vidyasagar. Good morning, Rajiv. So let me first introduce my colleagues on the fireside chat. Rajiv, he is the Vice President Public Sector from SAP, doing a lot of big work around technology in India and across multiple government domains. And we have a very an interesting person who has been working on the government on both the sides, on the village side as well as on the urban side, the IT advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Vidyasagar Jagdam. I welcome both you on this fireside chat. While fireside chat has a lot of rules and work and kind of structures, but in the E and the virtual reality, I'm going to break all those rules, and I'll just ask both of you to one by one actually introduce yourself, take 2-3 minutes an introduction, and then we'll go forward on discussing few small things in narratives and stories, which would be interesting for everyone to learn from and replicate that across scenario. So Vidyasagar, we'll start with you.
Sure, thank you. As you said, I'm the IT advisor to AP government, and I also happen to be CEO of two of the IT organizations here. One is Real-Time Governance Society, which is into data and analytics and is the custodian of the citizens' data within the AP government. The other one is e-governance authority, primarily tasked with, as it says, e-governance, technology governance, as well as digitization of government services to citizens. So citizen-centric service is the model through an enterprise architecture IT platform. So I'm sure these things will come up as we talk about what the government is doing. These two organizations are involved fairly deeply into that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So over to you, Rajiv.
Rajiv, you're on a mute.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. So thank you, Mr. Reddy, and very good morning to NSN. I think we've known each other for some time, but just a quick introduction for everyone watching this. I've been in the industry for almost 18 years. Have worked in public sector specifically for all my tenure, and right now in my current position, I am managing business for SAP for public sector nationally, and proud to say that we are trying to lead this whole business with a purpose, where we are trying to help citizens of this country, realize their dreams of great India in terms of getting their services delivered on time, etc. In fact, also happy to share that during COVID times, the team has been very proactively supported this government in this time of pandemic. That's short. Personally, I have been a software developer when I started, and was always enthusiastic about how these software are getting developed. So moved to the whole business side of story, and here I am today. Happy to share the stage with you, NSN and Mr. Reddy. Over to you, NSN.
Great, great. Thank you so much. And just setting the context for this entire discussion, and with whatever I have been in the industry for the last 20 years, I think this is the second what do you call a huge disruptive event, a moment I've seen. In fact, I could say the third one. The first one is the bubble burst when the .com 2002K happened. Then the second, when the 9/11 happened, there's a huge amount of changes which happened everywhere across. Anyone who was working on defense sector at that time would have realized that kind of impact that had the 9/11 had on everyone's other country's business and everything. But this pandemic has actually, in certain domains, have created a huge amount of changes, and certain domains have actually that change has been more positive. And I think that's where I'll lean upon Mr. Vidyasagar, the first question, and I would actually come to you. How does the IT transformation in the state of AP, which has always been a leader in the space, has been because and taken a cue from the pandemic and the changes and social distancing, lockdown, and all those things which happened. A lot of things. How does the IT planning and IT transformation is being looked upon by the state of Andhra Pradesh?
Yeah, excellent question. Sometimes the transformation or the change that we desire is quickened by external events, right? So we were on our journey when the new government took over last year. One of the things that our Honorable CM Garu has instituted is what we call village and ward volunteers and village and ward secretariats. So, since this is primarily about urban, ward would be in an urban setting, and village is obviously a rural setting. So, for every 50 households, there's a volunteer in the rural areas, and for every 100 households, there's a volunteer in urban settings. So, the volunteer's job is to be the face of their government to the citizens. Similarly, in village and ward areas, there were secretariats. These are the lowest level governance bodies, local bodies, were set up with about 10 to 12 functionaries in each secretariat. So this is a huge organization that was, I think, instituted beginning October 2nd, Gandhi Jayanti. So, Honorable CM's vision is take government to the doorstep of the citizens. Do not make citizens have to travel to their mandal as well as their district headquarters in pursuit of their services or grievances, but let the government go to people, provide services at the local level, and in some cases to the doorstep of the people. So we have approximately 2.6 lakh volunteers in the state of AP, serving about 4.5 crore population, and 1.3 lakh functionaries in the secretariats, the local governance bodies here. So together, this workforce constitutes what the vision is, taking the government to the doorstep of the people. Now, this is a lot of manpower, a lot of manual work. Our job as the technology arm is to provide the technology tools and platforms required to make this organization successful and provide effective and efficient services to the people. So each of the volunteers is armed with a smartphone given by the government, and secretariats have desktop PCs and printers and fingerprint scanners, whatever it is necessary by way of infrastructure. So what we are doing is develop the platform, digitize the services to provide approximately 500 services from various government departments to be provided to the citizens. So service delivery with a digitization is the project. So this went live January 26th of this year, Republic Day, and barring teething pains, has been effective in providing services. Now the various government department functionaries, rather than moving paper files from desk to desk or office to office, they're able to look at the request online and do their job online, and then the workflow moves from one functionary to the next or one officer to the next based on what the department had specified. This way, rather than a paper file moving and taking a lot of time and people going there and trying to pursue it and not having an idea where the file is, all the things are happening digitally. As you can imagine, the amount of efficiency that's generated here and the speed with which the services can be delivered has been a huge progress. So I'll stop here and see if there's any questions related to that or any follow-ups.
So I'll come to that definitely because I have a question there, Mr. Vidyasakar. But I'll jump to Rajiv. Rajiv, I think bringing the government to the doorstep. Okay, how for the citizen now on the business side of it, is there anything that we are actually being able to bring the government to the lounges of the businesses or the MSMEs so that the G2B is much more simplified?
So thanks, Murthy. I think this is also very interesting as a topic. While we focus on citizen, and I agree with Mr. Reddy, and I have a point of view on that also, which I will touch upon. But specifically on uh, this MSME side, Murthy, and some of the workers that we are looking at. we definitely have a story, a solution where we can have a we can work with the employment exchanges of the states and also with the MSMEs. In fact, recently what we worked on is work with the MSME mid-segment laborers and the employees who have been impacted by COVID pandemic, and we've been working on the skilling side of it. And I'm happy to say that some of the skilling initiatives, and this is a pan-India initiative that we've taken, we are ensuring that the whole migration of labor uh, can we impact that and help industries and be very local to that particular to particular that village or city. And now in that whole ecosystem, while we are doing a lot of work, I think skilling, upskilling remotely, digital literacy is something that we are extremely focused on. And in state of AP also, and we're happy to say that we are doing this with the universities, where we have initiated this upskilling of MSME. Um, Secondly, I think from a governance to doorstep of departments is something that we've done. In fact, last at a central level, what we've done in SN is that last project of MCA, in fact, Department of Post, some of the central schemes also that we've done can absolutely be replicated in states where the state companies can actually interact with government from a portal, and that's what we have done in Australia. So the industry can be given access the way citizens are given access to interact with government. The B2B who are already running a system, which is their enterprise resource planning system, or where they have to file, interact with government for various processes, clearances, etc., can be a single window, which has been vision of government. And that's a portal that we have worked in Australia, and that's something which is very much possible. So you bring that important point to this from a B2B perspective also. But I also had one point, and I'll just take one more minute, specifically on what Mr. Reddy said, and we really appreciate. And what we are also doing, Mr. Reddy, for your knowledge also, I wanted to share. We are working on a concept, and we have implemented portion of it in 3 states, where we are saying that every citizen should be able to see what scheme is eligible for him on his mobile. So if I am Rajiv and if I have a Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao applicable to me as a central scheme or a state scheme separate, I should be able to see everything on that. I should be able to click on that scheme, should know whether I am eligible or not. From there only I should be apply for it. And then, as you said, the back end, the whole provision of that, whether it has to go through multiple departments for this benefit to reach me, should be absolutely seamless. And that's something, as I heard you say that as a vision, is what we call it as absolutely formless, paperless, and possibly contactless citizen services that we can achieve. And will be absolutely happy to get into second level of details of this NSN.
So very interesting point, Rajiv. So Vidyasagarji, I'm coming to you, and I'm just taking the cue from what Rajiv said. The paperless, the contactless, touchless, and in fact, there is it's also called faceless because you are actually doing a digital transaction. So in that is
Right.
how the disruption in the government processes you're handling. So is there any mechanism or anything you have done, because you are also said you're CEOs of these governance institute also. So is there something on the governance process reforms also is being taken up as part of this?
Yes, absolutely. Because see, we talk about doing all these things. It's not happening in a vacuum, right? The government departments are the major stakeholders here. So what we do is work with the government departments. They are the ones who have to define the workflow. If there's any business process reengineering that needs to happen, say some approval or some service required, 2 weeks and 10 people to touch it when it was a paper file, we meet with them and talk about business process reengineering. What is the actual need? What does the statute say? What is workable? And maybe instead of 10 people, it only requires 5 or 6 people to work. And this is all, like Rajiv was saying, seamless and transparent to the citizens. So if it only requires 5 people, and maybe it only requires 1 week instead of 2 weeks. So that's the process. Then we digitize, and the workflow steps move from one person to the next officer. And when the work is done, the service is delivered to the citizen. So this process, while we provide the technology, the platform, and the tools, the actual work is still being done by the government department. So they are very crucial stakeholders in this. Without their cooperation and collaboration, this thing is not going to work. We're not going to develop a solution, implement it, and demand that they all follow that. That's not going to happen. So it has to be a partnership between the departments as well as the vendor who is providing the technology and us who is providing the governance and the platform to support all these functions.
Wonderful. I have a follow-up question on this thing. So the pandemic also has pushed a lot of people migrate from one place to another, getting stuck. So for example, they are supposed to be a domicile of some other state and they're stuck here, or your domicile state citizen stuck somewhere else. Now, provisioning of services to them, especially let's say a ration, is actually a difficult subject because you actually take the quota in the domicile state and he is stuck in somewhere else. Okay, so how is that, is the state working towards creating a layer where similar to an Aadhaar I can actually run a common card and take my services from, for example, I'm an Android actually stuck in Haryana. In fact, I could talk about that. I am an Android sitting in Gurgaon. Okay, so can I actually take the Rashtra provisioning from Haryana? So how do you manage that?
See, physical distribution becomes a challenge. So if I have to, and we do have over 1 crore rice card, 1.28 or 1.29 actually, I'm not sure the exact number, but a crore ration card or rice card members. Now, for many of them, the service delivery is at their door. Volunteers actually take the rations at the beginning of the month and deliver them at their doorstep. And now, because of the contactless delivery, what we, and also if you look at the transportation and things like that, people used to move. Now because of lockdowns and restricted movement, they are staying home. So it's safer for the volunteers to go and deliver, and we use high technology. So in the beginning it was a fingerprint from the citizen to demonstrate or prove as evidence that the ration was delivered. Now, since we can't do that, we are using geotagging. So take a picture of the citizen and have the coordinates of when it was taken. That is evidence that the volunteer has actually gone to the site. Now, if citizens are staying out of state, how do we deliver? I don't think we are doing that. But there are some provisions. People within the state move from district to district or city to city in pursuit of their jobs or what have you. We have a provision where we can move addresses. Previously, you were in this address, so you are part of this cluster of 100 households, and this person was your volunteer, and this was your secretariat. Now you move to a different address, so we can change you and put you in a different cluster. So that provision is obviously available in the software. We can do that. Pension is another thing. Pension can be handed over to people. That's the common way of handling as of now. And it could be put in their accounts too. And a lot of the benefit schemes that Honorable CM has instituted in central government to PM Kisan, for example, we have equivalent called Raitu Bharosa for farmers. And there are a lot of other things too for moms sending their kids to schools. Different types of craftsmen and workers that meet the eligibility criteria. All these things, they are direct deposit to their bank accounts. I think it's called direct benefit scheme or something like that. So there's no intermediary involved. There is no scope for any mischief or corruption. So directly from the state government's treasury, the amount is transferred to the bank accounts of the beneficiaries. And as Rajiv was saying, how do we know the beneficiaries? There are eligibility criteria. There is validation, multi-step validation. That is all transparent. The system goes and hits multiple databases to check if the citizen meets each of these eligibility criteria. So do you have X amount or less than X amount of income? Have you paid income taxes? Do you have more than some amount of land? Do you own four-wheeler? So the system checks against the authoritative databases. And if the citizen is found to be eligible, then he is eligible and he gets benefit directly. So contactless, faceless, transparent. There is no scope for any favoritism or anything like that. So things that were more or less unimaginable a few years ago, they're actually happening live now because of technology and the willingness of the government to do these things, take them on as a challenge and provide these benefits. And this
Wonderful.
thing was also the fact that we had this institution of volunteers and Sachivalayam functionaries and technology to do that was a huge boon during the COVID time. After the second round, when the interstate and intrastate migration of people was allowed, we instituted e-pass. So people with their phones or web would apply for a pass. It would be reviewed by government offices. See, this is not just permitting people to move, right? It's tracking them and ensuring that they are healthy. And if they are not healthy, take care of them through the healthcare department, which means multiple departments, transportation, government officers, collectorates, health department, all these people had to be coordinated. And that's not easy, or that's not even possible without the help of technology. So people from out of state, like you said, if you wanted to come to AP, you would apply, you'd call in our call center or you'd apply online. We take care of your application, inform the concerned authorities that you're there and you're coming, and receive you at the border, do the basic healthcare screening, and then if you are suspect, take care of you through the hospital protocol. If you are not, then ask you for self-isolation for 2 weeks, and then you're fine. All this thing was done, and I could not imagine. I mean, I just to say, I came to this my state and country after 25 plus years in US. I came last year, and looking at this thing, I mean, we have our own perceptions, right? Yeah, it's a third world country, maybe it's not as advanced and all these things. To see lakhs of people taken care of by several thousand government officers working round the clock during this thing, it was absolutely amazing. And now I know a lot more about the capability of India, not to boast about my home country, but things can be done
Yeah.
without maybe a small glitches or whatever, but fantastic job.
Yeah. So Rajiv, I'm going to do a complete tangent. So I'm just going to move out of the subject, and one of the things is everything is about cities, ULBs, and stuff like that. So a lot of urbanization has happened. But I'm not going to ask you about what solution SAP has in urbanization. I'm going to ask you a twister. So SAP is known for its deployment at a couple of large cities. So we all know that. But is SAP only for the large cities? So because the most of the 500 odd cities are tier 2, tier 3 large. So there are only a bunch of cities which, can I say, or calling the elephant in the room, and also clarification probably is only large cities can afford SAP. Large cities can afford SAP, or it could be any small city also.
So no, that's a very good question, NSN. I think we've gone past that as SAP. I think we've gone past that whole perception now, and I wanted to just tell you that also, that we are absolutely serving now the smallest of the entities across enterprise or public sector, whether it's a milk federation, small milk federation in Punjab, Bihar, or to the largest city which has budget more than state's budget, like MCGM, complete state's budget. So we are serving organizations and cities across length and breadth. In fact, so I just wanted to tell you that with our entire portfolio being on cloud, on premise, and various ways of serving our customers, I think we are absolutely affordable and working and delivering value to smallest of the organizations, and of course for largest we've been doing it for years together. Also, NSN, I just wanted to give you a perspective also, that the length and breadth, when we're talking about this whole pandemic and the way we are impacted, as two or three aspects that I wanted to bring. Very interestingly, we are seeing traction coming in, funnily enough, in the excise departments across India, where we are looking at the liquor sale and the whole liquor management as an online process and seamless process, and everybody is after that. And possibly, to Mr. Reddy, on a lighter note, I think doorstep delivery of liquor would be a great service to citizens. So 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 that's something, and in essence, why I brought that topic is that that is some space where we are working, which is commercial plus delivery, citizen delivery. So there is a transaction which is happening in this space. Also, I think we have done tremendous work globally with some of our commerce and citizen engagement platforms, which are combined in one platform. Needless to say, needless to say, some of the other revenue departments and Mr. Reddy, I just wanted to also say that due to this pandemic, right? So I mean, these are the times when enterprises are hit, and I think governments, as you rightly said, have put their heart and soul into fighting out of this whole pandemic. But the situation will be very different when we really come out of it. The governments would have changed. There'll be revenue pressures. There'll be citizen expectation pressures, and there will be citizens expecting that, okay, how do I still get it without going to a crowd? So I think as a team, as an organization or a state advisor, I think, and we as a responsible software company of the country, I think we as a team need to also look at, how do we really come out of it, whether it's revenues, the frauds, how would we handle some of the frauds where the public spending is going in, let's say health monitoring, the COVID pandemic, the spend which is happening, how are we really monitoring some of those things? And also, lastly, I wanted your views also on the whole. We also have seen in other states the utilities, which is a revenue earning department, right? As which is a income that you get from the billing, consumer billing of electricity. Now, that is also something that we feel in some of the states during COVID times, the collection took a big hit, and I'm not sure how AP is, and we are your ERP service provider, but not on the service side. But what's your view on this whole revenue versus citizen service expectation after pandemic?
Yes, that's an excellent point. I mean, something that we should be looking forward to, because eventually we'll have to learn to coexist and try to improve things with the adversary, right? So revenue is a problem, but government has to spend money on basic services as well as invest for growth. So technologies are the levers that can help bridge this gap. What we were not able to do before, we are able to do now thanks to technology. So I'm sure large companies like yours, they are innovating all the time and looking to see what's the future look like and how can we help. So that's what we need to leverage. If we are used to doing things certain way, now we have demonstrated that we are capable of adapting and doing things in a different way. So with help from industry and business, coming up with, here is how we can do things, here is how we can help you. I mean, just think about it. Government usually is the last entity to adapt newer technologies, right? But now we are willing to try because of the situation. And once you try and you realize that you can do it and it's good and you're successful, there's no reason to stop, right? So as I was saying earlier, it quickens the pace of technology adaptation as well as transformation. So we are happy to partner with industry. And initially you were talking about skill development. AP is really big on that. Our Honorable CM has bet AP's growth on skill development, and he has established a skill university with 25 skill colleges across the state. And with the help from industry, identifying the needs, and then again, industry and government partnerships to provide the skilling to meet those needs, citizens are being trained in areas where industry has gaps and they can find jobs. So these are some of the things that we would hope that soon are going to pay off and help the gap with revenue. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reddy. I think that was really good. Thanks. We
Uh,
have Anishan back.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a sense, you can extend 5 10 minutes if you want. You can extend it further. That will not be an
I'll
issue.
just extend by 5 minutes. I'm so sorry.
Because this fireside is something really interesting. But it's like the kind of talk which Rajiv and Dr. Vidyasagar and you are interacting is like quite interesting. So I think so. Our audience would also like to and sit back and enjoy some more, few more topics and few more this thing. So you can extend it by 5 10 minutes if you want.
Sure, sure, sure. So I'm so sorry. I think digital is taken care by, but not the electricity still. So a good power connection has. So Rajiv, I missed the conversation, but I'll jump straight into something else on the which is something which is close to my heart, and I've been working on this thing for last 1 year or so on the emerging tech and the startups. So I'll ask with respect to emerging tech, beyond the horizon in terms of how the what you call is the AI and the ML part of it. How are you actually incorporating that in the citizen services delivery model of SAP to make it more intuitive, make it more friendly to the citizens?
Yeah. So in a sense, while we have done tremendous amount of work on our support backend function, as we call it, the whole ERP stuff, which is completely AI ML enabled. On citizen side, what we have done, in a sense, is that we have identified certain areas which are identifying. Especially, we've done some great work in the areas of what we call as fraud management and the whole taxation or possible evaders of tax, a predictive modeling on the whole taxation and the collectability of it. So whether it's utilities, customers, and we've seen some of the states now coming up uh, with the observation that the bills were deliberately reduced by possibly the IT system or in collaboration with some of the departments. So we are seeing that there is a significant need, and this is again I was talking while you were not there. Post pandemic, the pressures which will be there on the departments about revenue, and that's where
Hmm.
our focus has been very recently, that revenue and then leakage of that revenue through frauds and then citizen service expectations. So this is something where we have done tremendous work. We think that there are models today available in particular industries, very strong models available in utilities, consumer pattern, the paying patterns of B2B and B2C, where you can absolutely predict that this customer has been paying on this particular day, or his neighborhood is charging, it possibly is coming 10,000 rupees per month, and this is that one particular household which is saying so. So you get that prediction, and then the authorities can actually go and navigate. The similar thing we are seeing in the property tax collection of civil authorities and state authorities, where we are seeing that as a pattern is extremely important, and that's where we are seeing that the patterns of ML AI. That's one use case which I wanted to share. And a sense, second use case is coming on the where we are thinking these where we have used is a citizen's experience in state is through its call centers, right? So I am calling a police, it's a dial 100, or I am calling an ambulance, I am calling a fire brigade, or I just am unhappy and there's a state call center. We believe that entire conversation and the experience of that conversation today is possible to assess that this was the conversation and this is the citizen's feedback based on that call, that you can experience that he is a disgruntled citizen still. And the whole perception about government is through, while a government department is doing tremendous work, but since a call center or the departments which are addressing to it is an outsourced one and possibly not trained employees, it just gives a very different impression. So that's second area where we are seeing machine learning and patterns which are being identified, and we've done some work in that space with our citizen experience management. NSN, you would know about it with our Qualtrics. That's something that we are doing for specifically this, to have a great image about government and citizen interaction. These are two cases I wanted to specific to this context. I wanted to highlight.
Great, great. Vidyasagarji, on the startups, how does the engagement of startups
Oh
being
yeah, I missed that.
yeah, how is the engagement of the startups is being facilitated at in Andhra Pradesh? So how are they going to participate in the various government projects? Is there anything that you're coming up with the plan or procedure for them to participate?
Yeah, there's an organization called AP Innovation Society whose mandate is to help support the ecosystem of startups and try to help them grow. So, one of the things that we talk about is ask the departments to have hackathons. I mean, departments have identified problems. So, invite the startups, the innovators to come in and do as a hackathon, provide solutions, and whichever is the best solution, give the project to them. So government is actually encouraging them by giving them money, so to say, to provide the solution based on this. And this kind of things, usually, rather than a big bang solution that may or may not work, innovative solutions from startups is the way to encourage them as well as to help them grow. And once the ecosystem grows and then these companies graduate and grow out of that, that would be helpful across the board. And like Rajiv was talking about post-pandemic revenue, how are we going to do that? So these things can be handled that way. And the government is trying to do just that here in AP. Vishakhapatnam is where we consider to be the major technology center for AP. And that's where AP Innovation Society is located. I think there's a facility called Innovation Valley there, and we are helping a bunch of startups there by providing them with plug and play facilities and encouraging them to continue to work and grow. Fine.
I think so. And it's an oh, it's like there's a blackout in his society. I think so from where he's working.
No,
So he's
fine,
just
but we
joining
had
back.
great discussion. I think we had great discussion. I think Mr. Reddy has tremendous vision for the state, and Mr. Reddy, I think I like the way you said, no, your whole experience of global experience, what you're trying to do in the state of AP. We're very excited, and happy to absolutely help in the journey to make the citizens of AP and AP government take to next level. We're already engaged, but absolutely happy to contribute in whatever way. So skilling also, we are associated with AP, and AP being the possibly the biggest, I should not use, but still the factory of IT in the world, and we're very happy, and and hence companies
Yes,
like
we,
ours,
we
when
do
we
pride
talk
ourselves
about
on that.
yeah, so when we talk about the skill in AP, I think every IT company is just so happy to have this skill thing in AP, and the government has been very responsive. I personally have seen, and really happy to work together, and really happy that you the way you were working in the state.
Thank you. And like I
Uh,
said, you guys are trusted partners along with other businesses. And government doesn't do things by itself, right? We need partnership from industry, businesses, and everyone. It's a collaborative thing. It's a teamwork. Thank you.
So,
uh,
Mr.
Thank you.
Vidyasagar, you should not miss the word consultants also. You need consultants also in that ecosystem.
so I think so. In
Absolutely,
essence,
yes.
so
Tennyson,
you can
without you,
conclude it
we
from here.
yeah, without you, we won't meet. So you are that important.
So you're
Great.
the glue that holds this thing together.
So I'm so sorry for this hiccups, but I think we had amazing conversation, and I would love to actually continue it, but probably we'll do it offline. I think fine, we will do that, and
Sure, sir.
let's. We may want to actually close this. Any last comments by Vidyasagar ji and Rajiv? Else we will close this session today.
I'm good,
No,
Anasan.
thank you
Thank you
very
for
much. This has
organizing
been a
this.
great conversation. I'm sorry. Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Rajiv.
No, I just want to say, Anasan, thank you, and thank you for him. It was pleasure actually interacting with Mr. Reddy, hearing his thoughts, and I already thanked him about his vision of AP and how we'll be happy to partner. And Anasan, again, thank you for him. I
Thank you,
enjoyed
sir.
it.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Fahim, and thank you, Innocent. This was
Thank you.
a great time.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
also enjoyed the books. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Bye.